Welcome, stressed 10th graders. Take a deep breath, drop those highlighters for a second, and listen up. If you're panicking about Chapter 5, social and religious reform movements, well, you're in exactly the right place. Think of this explainer as your ultimate high-yield masterclass. We're going to decode the textbook, hack those previous year questions, and absolutely guarantee you top marks on this chapter. So let's dive right in and turn you into an exam-crushing machine.
Okay, here's our syllabus checklist for today. We've got 1. The Indian Renaissance. 2. The heavyweights, meaning Brahmo and Arya Samaj. 3. Equality warriors. 4. Education and harmony. And 5. Spiritual reformers. Let's get right to it.
Section 1. The Indian Renaissance.
To really ace this chapter, you first got to understand the whole vibe of the 19th century. Imagine Indian society back then was suffering from a disease. And that disease was made up of extreme superstitions, rigid caste rules, and highly unequal treatment of women. The reformers were about to study, they brought the cure. And that cure was the Indian Renaissance. Now, this is a foundational one-mark exam concept, so pay attention. When Indians came into contact with Western civilization and English education, a brand new scientific and rational outlook grew. Rationalism basically means asking why, instead of just blindly following traditions. It's kind of like flipping on a light switch in a dark room. This rational attitude stimulated people to finally question meaningless rituals and start reforming society.
Section 2. The heavyweights. Brahmo and Arya Samaj.
All right, let's get to the main event. If Chapter 5 is a goldmine, this section is literally the motherlode. You should expect guaranteed 3 to 4 mark previous year questions from what we're about to cover right now. First up is Ram Mohan Roy. Notice that title, the father of Indian Renaissance. If your exam asks for the father of the Indian Renaissance, you write his name. That is an absolute, guaranteed 1-mark question. You know, he studied multiple languages and religions, read the Upanishads, and realized that to truly revive India, we needed a mix of modern science and English education. So he founded the Brahmo Samaj in 1828. Now, for the exam, you need to link Ram Mohan Roy to 3 major things. First, his organized attack against the Sati system. He heavily supported the Prohibition of Sati Act introduced by Lord William Bentinck. Second, his journalism. He started a Bengali newspaper called Samvada Kaumudi to really push that rationalism we just talked about. And third, his religious stance. He strongly opposed idol worship and polytheism, and encouraged monotheism, which is just a fancy way of saying the belief in one God.
Let's shift gears to our second heavyweight. This was a man with a completely different, highly radical approach. Dayananda Saraswati. While Ram Mohan Roy looked partly to the West for solutions, Dayananda Saraswati looked deep, deep into India's past. He traveled the entire country giving lectures, and eventually founded the Arya Samaj.
Listen to me carefully here. Back to the Vedas, and India should be for Indians. These are absolute 100% must-write phrases. If you're answering any question about the Arya Samaj or Dayananda Saraswati, dropping these quotes will instantly signal to the examiner that you know exactly what you're talking about. He genuinely believed the Vedas were the ultimate source of all truth and knowledge. Ring the alarm, 10th graders. This exact checklist has been a 4-mark question in previous board exams. Literally, a 4-mark PYQ. To secure those marks, remember this list. Arya Samaj condemned idol worship and the caste system, loudly stating that caste should be decided by ability, not birth. They encouraged widow marriage, urged the use of Swadeshi, or local goods, and spread their message through his super famous book, Satyarth Prakasha. Honestly, make sure you practice spelling that book title correctly before exam day. Okay, time for a common student mistake call-out. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. In the heat of the exam room, students always mix up the ideologies of these 2 Samajas. Let's prevent that right now. Just remember, Brahmo Samaj equals Western influence and English education. Arya Samaj equals indigenous focus, going back to the Vedas, and promoting Swadeshi. Keep them separated in your mind, and you won't lose silly marks. Let's do a quick knowledge check. I'll pause for a second. Which Samaj started the purification movement? Well, if you said Dayananda Saraswati's Arya Samaj, you are spot on. Also known as the Shuddhi Movement, it was a ritual designed to bring people who had converted to other religions back into the Hindu fold. The whole goal was to integrate and strengthen society.
Section 3. The Equality Warriors. Satyashodak and Pratana Samaj. So while the heavyweights were busy debating theology and education, equality warriors like Mahatma Jyotiba Phule were right out there on the ground fiercely fighting deep-rooted caste and gender inequalities. He was absolutely uncompromising in his fight against the exploitation of Shudras, Dalits, and women. He believed that true freedom was the basic necessity of literally every individual. To fight this battle for social justice, he established the Satyashodhak Samaj.
The Satyashodhak Samaj vehemently opposed gender inequality and untouchability, and even opened schools for girls and Shudras. But if there is one single detail you must anchor firmly in your memory for an objective question, it is his book. Phule wrote in detail about exploitation in his book called Gulamagiri, which translates to slavery. Remember, G for Gulamagiri. Literally draw a giant G in the margins of your notes right now.
Now for a rapid-fire breakdown of the Prathna Samaj, founded in Mumbai by Atmaram Panduranga. It was later popularized by M.G. Renate. Their absolute golden rule, service to mankind is service to God. And they proved this by actually establishing orphanages, national schools, and shelter homes for women. Renate also heavily propagated Hindu-Muslim unity and female literacy.
Section 4. Education and Harmony. The Aligarh Movement.
We've seen how Hindu reform movements heavily prioritized education. Well, this theme continues seamlessly as we look at Islamic reform movements, specifically the highly influential Aligarh movement. The leadership here was borne by Sir Syed Ahmed Khan. Guys, he is an absolute favorite among examiners. He acted as the champion of harmony, aiming to bridge the gap between Eastern traditions and modern Western ideas, to uplift the Muslim community politically, socially, and educationally. Let's do a quick whiteboard-style walkthrough of his brilliant logic. Imagine a 3-step plan. Step 1. He realized the community desperately needed modern, Western, and scientific education. Step 2. He knew this couldn't just replace tradition, so he combined it with religious education. Step 3. The ultimate result? He established the Anglo-Oriental College, which later famously became the Aligarh Muslim University. He also strongly supported female literacy and condemned polygamy.
Section 5. Spiritual Reformers, Ramakrishna Mission, and Sri Narayana Guru.
These specific leaders used spiritual philosophy to drive massive ground-level change. The Ramakrishna Mission taught that you attain moksha through dhyana, which is meditation, and bhakti, which is devotion. They firmly believed that all religions ultimately advocate the exact same truth. This was a powerful message taken global by his most famous disciple, the dynamic youth icon, Swami Vivekananda. Now, also critically important to this era's spiritual awakening, and again, a huge favorite for your examiner, was the Theosophical Society. Led by Annie Besant, they used their spiritual platform to heavily promote the Home Rule movement, pushing really hard for Indian self-governance. Finally, we travel down to Kerala to meet Sri Narayana Guru. In a time when the caste system was brutally rigid, where lower castes were denied basic human rights, couldn't even use public roads or enter temples, he stepped up. He started a massive, triumphant upliftment movement for the exploited Ijava community, known as the Dharma Paripalina Yogam.
And this brings us to one of the most beautiful and high-scoring quotes in your entire textbook. One caste, one religion, and one God for human beings. He declared that education was the only path to achieve this kind of equality. He even went ahead and built temples for backward communities. You need to tie his name directly to the historic 1924 Vaikom Satyagraha, which was a massive movement demanding temple entry for lower caste people.
Okay, listen to me urgently. Take a screenshot of what's on your screen right now. I mean it. Hit those buttons on your phone or laptop. This table is your ultimate quick revision exam morning cheat sheet. Examiners absolutely love matching questions or one-mark fill-in-the-blanks based exactly on these reformer movement and text combinations. Have this completely burned into your memory. You now hold the entire blueprint to hack Chapter 5. We've covered the Renaissance, the heavyweights, the equality warriors, the Aligarh movement, and the spiritual reformers. You know the quotes, you know the books, and you know the exact traps to avoid. But before you go crush that board exam, ask yourself this. If these 19th century reformers used rationalism to completely rewrite the rules of an unequal society, what traditional rules in your own world today might need a little rational questioning? Keep asking why, trust your studying, and I know you're going to do great.